Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity and Love, incredible experts the world over with amazing insights. They've also been on an incredible journey, unique life journey themselves. They're New York Times bestsellers, healers, psychiatrists, doctors. We've had a White House physician to the US president, and many others. Also coming from about 20 countries, and they're here sharing their insights, sharing their wisdom, sharing personal stories, often near-death experiences, or just encounters with angels or other loving beings. Today, no exception, coming to us from New Zealand is an incredible person. If I had to say one word, I'll do five instead. It'll be awareness, peaceful presence, kindness. Oh my God, he has some zip to him. I've already invited him back for another show. I'm super excited to have BRIAN BERNEMAN with us from New Zealand, but he's actually got an origin story from abroad, Argentina. He's going to share all this with us, and he's had a beautiful, transformative journey. BRIAN, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you on. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me. A pleasure to be with you again. Have another beautiful conversation, and yes, to see what magic comes out of this.
Look, you've got a certain way about you that is just amazing. Can you share with us briefly the big picture before we get back into your origin story? What do you do for folks? You've got a lot of different modalities, so to speak, that you've trained in, but how do you describe it?
Yeah, so nowadays, how I describe it is I help people to embark on a journey towards conscious living or well-being. I do this with a lot of different ways, teaching at university here. I do this with different healing practices, energy healing, sound healing, somatic healing, family constellations, or ancestral healing. I do this through teaching meditation, mindfulness, coaching. I work with companies and organizations to support the well-being of their employees. So a big myriad of ways that I support people as I support myself in this journey.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Can you go back to a particular memory when you were growing up? Maybe you were 10, maybe it was more like a teenager. You got exposed to something, you didn't turn your back on it, although you might have resisted for a little while. Let's go back in time, take us to one of those family or just youthful moments.
Mm. Yeah, so I would say I had a beautiful childhood, and one of the things that happened when I was around that age that you're just saying, around 10, was that my parents got a lot into their own personal development journey or spiritual journey. And by the time that I was 10, they started to bring home a lot of these things. So it was really interesting for me to start to hear something different, to start to experience something different. Just we stopped watching TV as we were having dinner, and suddenly we were just talking, and that was like, okay, this is different. So I started to notice that, and that was an interesting part of my childhood.
Mhm. Okay, specifically, was it your mom? Was it your dad? Was it both? But who had the bigger influence and who reached you?
It was both. I would say that my mom is the one that's spearheaded it, and my dad came along a little bit on the side at the beginning, and then it was fully embracing it.
And who were some of the authors or influences that got you early on?
Yeah, they introduced me to a lot of different books that they were reading. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Marlon Morgan, Robin Sharma, Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton, uh, teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, a lot of books by Tarthang Tulku that ended up being the path that I studied and learned from Tibetan Buddhism. So, a lot of really interesting books and authors and just perspectives that open my mind.
And those are no small books. So this was happening very early on for you. How did you go outside of the family unit to then find groups to kind of hang out with and learn from?
Yeah, so yeah, it was interesting my teenage years with all of that because I had my regular group of friends and activities and school and all of that. And then I was going to some Tibetan yoga classes. I was going to some sound healings, was going to energy healings, and I was going to all of these different places that I wasn't really yet connecting as a group with all of those people. I was just exploring and allowing myself to grow and to change, and that also had a big impact on my friendships because suddenly I wasn't the same person anymore.
And your mom would say something like, hey, I've got an extra spot. Let's go. Sound healing on Sunday. And maybe your siblings wouldn't want to go and they didn't go. But you said, yes, go into those dynamics just briefly if you would.
Yeah, I think I'm so glad that my parents gave us the permission to follow what we wanted with that, as I found something in these different experiences that I resonated with. Later on, I realized, okay, I already knew all of these things from past lifetimes. So there was something in there that I resonated with, and my siblings didn't. So I would go with my parents to the sound healings, or I would go to the classes that they would say. Once my younger brother actually came with me to a yoga class. He doesn't believe in any of these things. He's so like logical, and he came to these yoga classes with me for 6 weeks. He would fall asleep in every single class, and he never went back to any of those classes. But like it was nice for me in my childhood that I was able to find something that was my thing as well, because my siblings were good in a lot of different things, and growing up, and I didn't remember this until my parents told me. I was really jealous of my siblings because they were good at school, they were good with like sports and art and all of these different things, and I wasn't as good as them. And when I found this path, it was kind of like I found my lane in life, and I found what's actually working for me. And it was so transformative as well, like all of those years. So yeah, I love that they allowed us to explore what we wanted.
Okay, we are going to jump back to that moment in time. And I am going to do one tangential question real quick. If you can't name a Tibetan Buddhist teacher at all, that category is taken away. What one other teacher or author did you really enjoy from that time period before we jump to broader picture questions right now?
I love the teachings of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, The Wheel of Life, and all of the teachings on the stages of grieving. All of that was in that moment that was really, really big.
Okay, and could you just share with us how that rippled forward in your life? Did it leave you with? Was it an appreciation of different vibrations, stages in life? Could you go into just a touch of detail there?
Yeah, I think that one of the things was to understand that, in life we go through a different process all of the time, and as we grow and we change, we become new in a sense. And that allowed me to allow any new iterations of myself, or every time that I was, like growing or developing or exploring or expanding, to allow that to be part of the cycle of my life, and to be able to include everything, because in those what I took as a teenager from the Wheel of Life is, like this is your unique pathway, and just because you were one way doesn't mean that you need to continue being in that way if you're choosing to change.
And now, flash forwarding to today, you're still going through this life stage, that life stage, a life stage, maybe 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks. It depends on how much we resist or how much we pay attention. Talk to us about a recent life stage in the last year that you don't mind sharing the details on. And can you mention what you learned from it and now where you think you're at a new life stage? Mini missions get done. There's always more homework on the table.
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest thing in this last year and a half really has been the fact that um, I got a lot of my clients that are from Latin America or from Spain asking me to actually embrace more outwardly talking in Spanish or using the Spanish language, because for so many years I've been talking in English and speaking in English and working in English. And the fact that my name is Brian as well makes it so that everybody thinks that I'm a native English speaker and I don't speak Spanish. And it was, embracing this, language that I have, that is my, in a sense, my mother tongue. This is what I grew up with. That to embrace it for work. And suddenly I started to get a lot more like Latin American people coming to work with me, and then I got one of the biggest platforms in Spanish language to hire me to become one of their teachers. And I'm actually recording this week some of the meditations for them. So it's been a really interesting re-engaging with that part of myself from a work perspective that I wasn't before so much. And it's beautiful to see how it's actually changing.
Ooh, extra flavor. Could you share with us in Spanish a mantra, a reminder for us all? Humans forget all the time. I already forgot what I was going to ask, except can you share with us a reminder, a mantra in Spanish and then in English, but then the significance of it and why you chose it?
Yeah, so I will actually share the one that I use this every single day as I wake up and as I go to sleep. Luz, amor y paz, which is light, love, and peace. That is the mantra that I think that now over 20 years, every single time as I wake up, that's the first thing that appears in my mind. So that has a huge significance in my life, and it, in a sense, preps my energy for the day.
Since you were 10.
Yes.
Okay. Now, today, can you talk to us about like retreats? You've handled retreats before. Give us a sample of a retreat that you've done, except now, if you don't mind looking forward in time, what would be an amazing retreat you would love to do? No holds barred. What's one in the past? What's one in the future?
One in the past, I would say, back in 2012, as I was living in the Tibetan Buddhist Retreat Centre, we were running a retreat that was about a lot of Tibetan Buddhist teachings, of course, but it was about the transformation and the transmutation of energy. And it was through different of the Tantra teachings, which, more of the transmutation of energy, not the sex perspective, and a lot of movement. So using the body as a vehicle or as the vessel for that transmutation to take place. So there was a lot of movement. That was one of my favorite retreats in the past. And for the future, I was actually, like thinking about this because I have a lot of ideas of things that I would love to explore. I would love to explore a 2-week retreat to get people understanding how to use the mind to align with the body to create the life that we want, to be able to explore this space that a lot of times in a lot of retreats that I've seen through the years, it focuses a lot on more of the body with yoga, or the transformation that can happen, but there's not that much inclusion of the beauty and the power of our mind. So I would love to do something with that.
Brilliant. Speaking of which, let's go into Tibetan terms that you like, terminology. So I'll throw out two. One might be more from Chogyam Trungpa, though, wind horse and Ziji. Ziji is one of my favorite words, brilliance, if you want to call it that. But there are many definitions. Could you give us maybe those two, maybe not? Could you give us just a couple terms that you love and that you love teaching about?
Yeah, I would say one is loving kindness. I love those teachings. I think that those are so important for ourselves and for the world that we want to create. It's a beautiful energy. So not only is just the idea of it, when we tap into the vibration of loving kindness, that's a beautiful thing. And then the other one that I love is around death. That is a big topic in the Buddhist teachings. And my teacher always used to tell me the teachings of death are really important because it's all about understanding how to live life. And I used to really connect with that because, mostly in society we don't talk about death, and it's a big part of our lives. And it's all about understanding that there's impermanence in life. We don't know when anything is going to end. So how can we make the most out of each moment? And the most is about being present in the moment. It's not about what we're doing, is how we are doing it. So understanding presence and awareness, it's big part of understanding how are we living our lives.
Okay, the universe. It's super big, yes? How do you describe the universe? How do you describe consciousness? These are eternal questions for mankind, but it seems to be more important than ever that we start paying attention, slowing down, maybe taking a breath, and even listening a little. Is the universe big?
The universe is huge, and also it doesn't exist on one scale in terms of scale. Like there's no space as what we understand space. It's a constant motion. I love to talk about it as a dynamic organizing principle. It's there. It's all of the time changing. It's all of the time exploring, expanding, mutating, and it's an amazing place because it's the playing field that we get to explore what it's like and all of the different vibrations and all of the different emotions, and we can dance and we can here in this lifetime as an incarnated beings, we can actually have an experience of that oneness or that big space universe, and at the same time we are here. So it's a beautiful play or interplay that we get to do with that universe, which the way that a lot of times I tend to think about it, or I used to think about it, it's an illusion. It doesn't exist as I believed it existed. But once I was able to tap into its energy, then that changed everything.
Okay, so compassion is a word we haven't used yet. Compassion is like a level playing field if we're talking the universe, but can you explain, and no exceptions on that, but can you explain why that is?
Mm. Compassion, I think that compassion gives us a place of understanding through feeling what it is that everyone is experiencing. As I understand it, the more that I open myself to understand that everyone has a past, some experiences, patterns of behaviors, tendencies, energies that are holding on to them, then I can understand that everybody's on their own path. Everybody's doing the best that they can, even though I might judge it, or that a lot of people might judge what someone is doing. Everybody's doing the best that they can on the path that they're in. So bringing compassion allows us to meet people where they are and not making it as we wish they would be, so that we can actually have a more cohesive, beautiful energy and dynamics in between all of the different relationships that we have in life. So bringing that element of compassion into this universe is so important to be able to meet each other and to understand we're all here experiencing our unique path and our unique perspective of this life, and we are all needed to be able to explore life. So in that way, the more compassion that we bring, the more that we're able to allow that.
Can you share with us a time, if everything's energy, everything's light, consciousness, awareness, rippling, whatever you want to call it, can you share with us a time that you either felt the energy of the crowd that you were helping, you got to see the light on someone, you saw your own light as you were reaching out to touch the shoulder or just saying kind words? What are a few of those moments that maybe caught you off guard, but you stayed the course, but later you contemplated it quite a bit?
Mm. I'm going to go back to the first time that I did a practice of Tibetan yoga. That first time, it was the first time ever that I felt my body. I thought that I knew how my body felt, but I didn't. And I started to get a sense of my energy field. And I started to see it. And then I started to realize this is what I'm actually seeing when I'm seeing people. This is what I'm seeing when I'm seeing, like animals and plants and trees and mountains. I'm seeing, all of their energy fields. And then, of course, that helped me a lot in working with people because as I work every single time, doing healing or doing a sound journey, it's all about seeing that and being able to bring into the space what that energy needs. So, it's been a beautiful journey of understanding that and to be able to tap into that energy that's what's going on. Yes, there's things going on in the physical body. When we work on that energetically, when we're able to see that, then the physical body will just match that change.
Okay, I'm going to blow some sage to you. I'm going to show my light on a black background. I'll put up 3 figures for you. One angel, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I used to say Rinpoche for a decade before I finally had somebody correct me. And then Buddha as well. And they'll each give you something either privately and or then for public consumption or remind you of a topic to talk about. No big shakes, but no big shakes. Let me light some sage. It's a staple of the show. We're doing it a little bit earlier today, but we're going to have you talking plenty in just a little bit. So we're going to give you a break early on. I'm going to light some sage. People at home are intuitive, even if you don't think you're intuitive. If you've ever been good at business, cooking, yoga, sports, on or off the field, it could be anything, video games. It's the same letting go. No try Yoda, always try Archangel Gabriel. Faith can be unreligious, non-religious or religious. It's the same letting go from the head into the heart. And give yourself permission to let go. If you want to ask the universe angels to get you out of your head into your heart, do so. And throw in a little extra intent by saying thank you or amen, rock and roll, om sai ram, whatever way you roll. And here's the sage. Are you already catching some in Auckland, New Zealand area from Texas? This is awesome. If anybody wants extra flowers and then ocean, ask for that as well. Let angels, Buddha, Mary, Jesus, Muhammad, everybody. The universe is a big, giant apple pie that's warmed up. You get to take a bite. Brian, what else are you getting? Flowers, or are you getting a Tibetan incense, or all the above?
I'm getting incense. I'm getting beautiful. Oh, I'm getting the jacaranda flower.
Oh, wow. And I just winked at the audience because I'm getting pretty wild with this show. I'm taking chances. While your eyes were closed, I winked at the audience. Look, that deserves an emoji from the crowd. This is that public service announcement. Hit the like button. Do a few kind words for Brian. It takes a lot to come on the show. Subscribe, by the way, share, and go ahead and comment if you want long. We're almost at 500,000 views, but we have a super shy crowd. I don't blame anybody. It took me 10 years to do some of this stuff and whatever. But look, love is love. Details are details. We're not taking away from anybody's details, but it's where you want to feed your energy or where you want to put your focus or how you want to flow. With that, speaking of flow, this takes 30 seconds. This is like the Force from Star Wars. I'll do Yoda's voice just to make you laugh. You're going to see Brian crack up big time, and that's worth it all. You'll see a filament of light between my fingers, blue, gold, green, yellow. If Brian doesn't mind saying it out loud at home, you can do it, see the light with your eyes, see the light with your heart, actually. But if you want to put your palm out and feel it, you can. It's just a little bit of love. And here comes Yoda's voice to make you laugh. Do not. There is no try. And breathe, breathe, breathe through the mouth. It's like turning up the volume at home if you need any help. Brian, what are you seeing for a filament of light between my fingers?
What I'm saying is a beautiful magnetic field. I'm seeing some beautiful golden, purple, blue light. Beautiful.
Oh. Okay, beautiful. And that's done. All right. Now, an angel named Joy, she's the emotion joy. And since March, they've been giving some of their cosmic backgrounds, Pleiades, Orion, Sirius, way to throw a wrench into things into modern society for folks. But just remember, angels are unconditional love. That's their backstory from a long time ago. They're just here to help, but you've got to set your intent and just be like, hey, you don't have to know a thing. Universe, Help me out. I don't even know how you're going to help me out, but thank you. And just show a little thank you, gratitude to it. Here she is. She's ginormous, though, kind of cosmic everywhere. She's like love. Open your eyes to find love everywhere you look. Same thing with joy. Have her remind you of a topic before we do a couple quick questions when we move on to Chogyam Trungpa and Buddha. What's a topic she's like, oh, Brian, you got to cover this? What'd you get?
Mm. I got actually the love of parents. I think that this is I love my parents, and through the years I realized how important it is to love our parents, regardless of the experience that we've had, because our parents are the ones that through them we came into this realm, and just by that, they deserve our love and they deserve our gratitude. And when we're able to embrace that, we're able to allow the flow of energy that comes from, what it's the physical manifestation in this realm, that is all of those that came before. Our parents are the gateway to all of the life force that flows through our ancestors into us, all of that strength, all of that love. So loving our parents.
And have you had a dream time experience or 50 with ancestors? Could you share one?
Oh, I had so many different experiences with ancestors. And like when I'm doing the work of family constellations, which is a lot about that, I get to experience what they felt. I get to experience what they've done, good and bad. It's without judging. I got to experience, like some interesting walks in different mountains in the Soviet Union, that some of my ancestors were there, and it's just beautiful to be able to connect to that energy and to what it used to be life for those that came before me in this life. So yeah, that was beautiful.
Uh, okay, and a quick side question on boundaries or allowing where you put yourself. Do you have to shut it all down pretty hard when you go out to see a movie, the mall? Can you describe when you turn it on and when you have to just power it down?
The beautiful question. I I learned very early in my path learning about energy how to understand that I actually didn't need to create a boundary energetically any longer. I just needed to understand what's me and what's not me so that the energy can flow. So when I go actually to places like that, or when I go, like working with a business that I go to their offices and it's a very stressful, very different frequency, then I'm able to actually be there and through my own energetic imprint as well start to affect the place that I'm in. So that ripple effect. So when I was younger, I remember I started doing healings and I had to put up that boundary. And one time my teacher told me, if you're putting that boundary as well, you're not being able to allow all of the energies to also flow. But it took me a while to learn how to do that so that I wasn't allowing things to get in and to stick to me. I was just like, okay, I can experience this, I can feel this energy, it just flows through me, and then it goes. Bye.
That's a very I hope I'm choosing the right word, simplistic way. It's a very efficient way to go. With that, have you seen your own energy flowing out accidentally or on purpose or all the time when you go to that workplace, let's say? But have you also seen negativity that suddenly says a little golf ball of black light that suddenly pops up off of someone and says, whoa, I'm out of here because nothing ever wants to hang around a lot of light and shininess? Can you give us a quick, it wouldn't be a war story. You're not a Vietnam veteran. It'd be a love peace story. Do you have a peace story you can share?
I've had a lot of times when with some spaces that are like that I've actually had people coming closer, the ones that had the more dense energy. So I remember a lot of times, like being sitting down, waiting for something or things like that, and someone without knowing this, the most dense energy in that place would come and they would sit next to me. And after a while, they would tell me, oh, I feel a little bit more relaxed, and I'm like, cool. I didn't tell them anything. I was just like, I know what's happening.
Wow. And you've seen, not to put any focus on negativity, but more than 5 seconds here, you've seen negativity from time to time, or we'll call it density. I like
Yes.
that word better than negativity. Smart.
Yes. I love the word density because that makes it, for me at least, it allowed my mind not to charge so much.
Yeah, it's a vibrational term. And guess what? It's one giant piano key with trillions of keys that way, lower vibration or more density, and then lighter stuff. We're never done learning and expanding. With that, that actually was one of the future questions. So we're here now with that question. Talk to us how everything's a frequency, a vibration, a density, or a lack of density. But can you do it in your usual sweeping way so we can start to go, aha, this is how my daily life is unfolding?
Mm. Yeah. So for me, again, what you just said, everything is energy. We are made up of energy. Whether we want to talk about it more on esoteric, spiritual terms, energetic, or if we want to talk about it from a more logical, science-based energy. If we put a microscope in our skin, we won't see skin. We will just see energy. Energy is just moving. Energy is all of the time moving. Energy is everything, and energy is always in motion. And when we understand that everything is energy, then we understand for our daily life that our thoughts are energy, our feelings are energy, the flow of the breath, that's energy. Even what seems to be, static and physical and there's a boundary, that's not there. So when we understand that everything in a sense is moving, everything is vibrating, and everything is malleable, because that's the nature of energy, then we can actually understand that the only constant is change. And when we embrace that, we're able to create the life that we want in a co-creation with the universe. There's things going on around us, and we are able to change how we are any single moment, because any single moment is new. We can change our vibrational state, therefore we can change the perspective of how we are living in that moment. So if someone is, like in an office, or someone is at home and they are experiencing some sadness, let's say, or anger, for whatever reason that is, if they are aware in that moment and they allow that energy to move and to shift and not to get stuck, then they can, in the next moment, they can change a very different vibrational state. So they can choose whatever they want, like we are free to choose. But when we are able to see that a thought, especially for those that have, like a lot of self-worth issues, or that they talk to themselves in a really harsh, negative way, if we understand that thoughts are energy, then we understand, I don't need to identify with that. That's just coming through my mind. Why? Well, because of a lot of different reasons based on my childhood, or, like different trauma or whatever. That's just energy coming. That's not me thinking. That's me noticing thoughts. That's me noticing energy moving. Therefore, if I choose to, I can allow it to move, and then I choose what it is that I want to be. So, from a daily life perspective, to be able to see life and ourselves as vibrational beings, we're able to move through life very differently than if we think we are just this physical body. So embracing that allows us to navigate and to dance a little bit more with life, to enjoy it, even when there's, challenging circumstances. It's like, well, nothing will last. Everything changes. Everything is energy. And as you said, like we have this higher vibration, lower vibrations, and it's like, okay, we can move, we can dance within all of that, and navigating that is the key.
Wow, it's almost like spiritual aikido, and you're a sensei because you're not resisting anything. You're allowing it to flow forward and not stay with anybody. Keep moving, keep moving until you look in the rearview mirror, it's gone. And so there's no other, I don't know, there's nothing too complex about it all. You keep it flowing. I like
Yeah.
that. Talk to us just a little bit more about how awareness works. Again, where you put your focus is where you put it. How you spend your energy is how you spend it. And I've never met anybody who walks out the door and says, I'm going to waste my energy today all week and make sure I do it the rest of the year as well. And yet, welcome to being human. Pretty much if it's up here, it's at least 1% of 1%, and not to judge it, but it's still kind of a waste of energy. It's dense. When you're down here, you do your best creative thinking. It's actually when you're in your heart and everything else that's fun in life and that you'll remember and that was important from a universal perspective happened when it was here. But you do it your way here. Remind us what we need to remember.
Mm. You know, awareness for me, since I started in this path, all of my teachers told me it's all about awareness. We need to actually connect. This is presence. When we are present, we expand our awareness. When we expand our awareness, we allow energy and we allow experience instead of resisting it, instead of making it something that it's not. When we are more aware, then not only things can be intentional, and we can choose, as you were just saying, Michael, how we are spending our days and where we're placing our focus. It's also about understanding that we don't know almost anything. And the universe is bigger than ourselves. And there's this wisdom and intelligence that we can tap into. The key for me has, since I was a kid, has been about expanding my awareness. So by expanding my awareness, I'm able to see things as they are and not as my eyes are trying to color them. Sorry, the lights just came in. So when we allow the awareness to expand, then we're able to be with the experience instead of judging it. When we are expanding our awareness, we can be present with what is. We are not projecting into the future as much. We can have a direction, but we are here in the now. And we can meet each other as we are and not as I would judge you to be. So when we allow awareness to be a driving force in our life, we are being. And this is key because we are human beings. We are not human doings. And a lot of times we are doing. With awareness, we can come back to being as we are doing things.
Slow down the doing. We all do a lot of being by doing up here versus doing by being down here. I actually got it right. And it's all shortened down to do by be or be by do or doobie do. I got a couple quotes for you from Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I'm saying that correctly. Both of them are from 2014, I believe. And then we're going to put him up after you talk, though, for a little bit and react to these quotes. Taking one breath is like taking one step. Both bring peace and harmony. I thought that was brilliant. Or ZG. The way to experience nowness is to realize that this very moment, this very point in life, is always the occasion. I think you just said that earlier. But let's recap.
I love that. This is about understanding energy, and this is about understanding the only thing that exists ever, which is the present moment. When we are able to tap into that knowing, like actually a lived experience, embodied experience of understanding that the present moment is the only thing that exists, then we're able to embrace that what happened before, it's always gone. What's coming next is not here yet. The only thing that exists is this moment of now, and 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 this moment. Every single moment is the only thing that exists. And when we bring awareness to that, as with that quote, to every breath that we take, to every step that we take, to everything that we're doing, if we are doing it fully, if we are fully participating in life as it is in this moment, then life is beautiful, life is expansive, life is all, like encompassing. That doesn't mean that everything is going to be butterflies and, and unicorns. That means that whatever it is, I am being 100% with it.
And I had totally blanked out on a prior question that was on the tip of my tongue forever, and it came back to me as you were talking to us about knowing. But before I ask that question about knowing, because there's two types, knowing up here that seems to be the primary currency among mankind, especially science, but pretty much all of us all day long, the type that precludes possibility. I'll just add that in all moments can be the same and are the same, and they're love or opening openness or sparkliness or wind horse or ZG or anything you want to call it. Talk to us about the two types of knowing. Knowing down here comes from experience, or it's universal knowing, or it's faith, non-religious, religious, but it's not knowing while letting go and maybe transacting action without thought. But the knowing up here, again, precludes possibility. Can you use your words to describe all that?
Yes, I I I used to be very much in my mind, and I used to everything was about that knowing, and that knowing in terms of information, beautiful, necessary, needed, great. If that knowing is not experienced or embodied, if that is not transformed into wisdom, which is the lived embodied experience of knowledge, whether that's from knowledge that we actually consume as learning books, school, a lecture, a podcast, or if it is just about through our awareness, tapping into the energy and information that is in space, if we are not allowing that to be embodied, then it's just information. Information, it in a sense is it's beautiful, it's important, and it's irrelevant. I had this last semester at university. I was, like working uh, through a little bit about how the mind works. And one of my students was asking a lot of questions, which I encourage, of course. And I said at one moment, I stopped her and I asked her, how is it going to help you today to know exactly what neuropeptides are actually happening, like actually being created in your brain? How is that going to change your lived experience today, tomorrow? Sometimes information is beautiful and it can engage something. If we are not incorporating it into our lives, the information is nothing. Everybody knows that, like what's healthy or what we should be doing with a lot of different things. And we're not doing it a lot of times. Why not? Because we haven't embodied those things. Because it's not it's just information. And information, we can Google everything. Nowadays, we can, like if we want, we can go to AI and ask everything. Information is beautiful. Also, it's not everything. So when we're able to bring it back into embodied experience, that's when true wisdom comes.
There's a movie called Peaceful Warrior, gymnastics film. Nick Nolte is the star in it, Scott Meklowitz, Amy Smart. But there's a scene at the gas station where the old man, they just call him Socrates or Sock, the gas station attendant, who's kind of a Mr. Miyagi figure. If you like it as an adult Karate Kid, call it that. You wouldn't know it's kind of a spiritual or learning or universal knowledge sort of film until you watch the whole thing. But he's just got his pupil there, the famous gymnast who's got world records on the rings and later goes to the Olympics, wins the NCAA. But he's sitting there and they're about to wipe the windshield of the car that's there for gas. And he makes that statement about, hey, do you know how to operate one of these and just, clean the glass? And he said, wisdom's the actual using the knowledge to do it. And whatever the actual words were, it's a beautiful scene. Check it out. You can probably find it online on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to put Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche up. He wanted his younger photo, and two people who studied under him in the 70s got to reunite with him, plus one Indian TV journalist type. And he also had met him. So that's three people who knew him when he was alive. Connect with him any way you wish, but if you want to catch that incense again, or even close your eyes and catch a Tibetan wheel or some other sacred, might be a mandala type thing in the sand with an image. And together you can blow it out like birthday candles and make the sand go away. but he'll leave you with an impression or an imprint or a reminder that, if you don't mind sharing it a little bit. And anyone at home can put your hand out to the photo through two screens, even if it's 2028, you're in Germany, you're in Thailand, you're in the US, Arkansas. It doesn't matter the time and space thing. It's not as important. It's what Brian was talking about the moment thing, being in the moment. And all moments are the same. So you get to kind of bypass time or stretch it out a little. Okay, what'd you get from, oh, and I was such a, I'm so slow that I asked him at the beginning of all this 12 years ago, I'm like, hey, that's a mouthful for a name. What can people call you in America? Shorter name. And he said, call me Gentle Frank. And he was cool with it, and people have. So what did you hear from Gentle Frank?
He actually, when that was taking place, I went back to the teachings of Shunyata. So Shunyata are all of the teachings about what in English we would say emptiness or the vacuum. That is a framework that a lot of times doesn't actually ring true, because Shunyata, or that space, which is the field, it's empty, but as well, there's everything. There's nothing and there's everything. There's a potential of everything. And I think that this is really important for us to understand, that we live within that field. Yes, it doesn't seem that way for most of the days. We have this physical body, we're living in these spaces. We are living in the field of energy. And when we are in that space, nothing exists and everything exists. And everything is possible. So when we tap into that space, within or without, however we want to, to call it, then we're able to create the life that we want in that moment. So again, this is the only thing that exists. A lot of people, project so much on creating the future. Well, we create the future by creating this moment. So if in this moment I tap into that energy, then I can choose how my future is going to go.
Okay, if you have 30 students walk into a beautiful wooden studio, maybe a mirror somewhere, but more windows to nature, and then they all sit down and you have an exploratory talk where, is it each time a student speaks, you can sense, hear, see, and feel where they're at and where they're coming from and where they're putting up their blocks or building with their bricks. Each thought is a brick making a bigger wall, and it's breathing, letting go, relaxing, that allows walls to, your ego wants to build walls, and the more you're here, you toss them out, and then you get to rebuild them all over again. Can you share with us that inner working that you probably never get to talk about? Is it each time someone speaks, they leave a little trail of breadcrumbs and you go, aha, I recognize that from 2 months ago, 2 years ago, I get it. And you have sympathy, empathy, or love, and you're like, I know just what to do. But can you say it in your words?
Yes, I will go back to something that many, many years ago, I talked with my mom about this. I asked her one day, I started to have some students that were talking about experiences that I hadn't experienced. And I asked her, who am I to talk to them about this? When I didn't go through their hardships. And my mom told me, you actually went through a lot of hardships. You didn't experience them as that, because you had enough awareness in that moment when something, drastic happened, that you were able to navigate through it. So that really allows me to, when someone is sharing something in their own experience, I can feel what's going on, I can understand what's going on, I'm able to get through my experience, or through my experience of working with a lot of people, I can get the different ways that that specific person is going to find a way to process that, or to grow, or to, change whatever it is that they need to change. In that moment, for me, it's a very felt experience. It's not just the mind, it's about being able to understand the other person, to be able to bring the awareness of that person. Like the way that I experience this in a sense is my energy field starts to encompass them. And as I do that, I'm able to feel what they are feeling. Therefore, it's easier to understand this is what I need to share with them. These are the words that I need to share with them. These are the practices that I need to share with them.
Have you ever used a laugh, a gentle, disarming laugh, a touch on the shoulder, or some similar technique to help a student who's stuck over the fence?
Yes, I use a lot of times, a lot of different like humor or different ways to bring that, because a lot of people through the years that I've seen think that a lot of the spiritual practices or like yoga meditation, it's all about being serious. It is not. Yes, there is stillness. Yes, it is, like in a sense, a serious matter. It's something, like to be disciplined about in certain moments. And as well, we need to relax that. Laughter helps us to relax so much. So a lot of times, like when I'm doing, for example, a movement practice, and I tell them, like, okay, open your arms and you're going to hold them here. Okay, now we're just going to stay here for 10 minutes, and everybody starts to laugh. And it's like, okay, now you understand. This is important, like this is the experience that we need to bring, because laughter, relaxes us. And when we're able to bring that into something that seems, like important or deep or spiritual, it allows that space to be flowing a little bit more, with more ease. Because, at the end of the day as well, it's like, laughter or joy can be super like spiritual. It's, that's just words that we put, and there's different meanings. So bringing that into the space is so important.
Oh, I got leaky eyed feeling all that. Okay. So I'm going to read a quote from an angel, Dale, in the epilogue of Listening to Angels. He coached an Olympic athlete from the late 70s, 80s that we all know won a lot of golds, but it was for him or her to follow their unique life path, not beat other people, was what that was about. Okay, here's the quote. Sometimes the person next to you or a stranger just needs validation via love and compassion. A smile changes any moment, so too does laughter or a few kind words. Be compassion to all, do it. What is this about the whole stranger thing? Not stranger danger, but the opposite. Strangers in America, strangers in New Zealand, the stop sign, the dog walker waving them by. And we're not evaluating political parties in Europe. They could be the Green Party, Greenpeace, you don't know. And we're not judging that. How can we dare do a wave, a smile to a stranger? What's this all about?
Well, we talked about compassion and loving kindness before. This is about understanding this. Actually, we are, in a perspective, we are one. Yes, we have our unique individual specific configuration of this dynamic energy, yet we're all connected. There's no separation. And when we understand that, we are not separate, if I smile to you, then I'm smiling to myself in a sense. If I do something positive, then I'm doing that for myself. This is, like the path of the Bodhisattva in the Buddhist teachings. It's all about understanding others are suffering as well. We don't know what they went through. So if I can give some of this love and compassion, I'm giving it to myself, I'm giving it to others, and I'm allowing that ripple effect to just go and expand. Because when we allow ourselves to navigate life without the illusion of separation, we understand everything is for me as well. If I smile to you, if you feel happy, that's for me. If we allow all of that to take place, the world would be a very different place. If we all smiled, if we didn't judge, if we allowed understanding that we're all in this together, and we're all, experiencing experience in our own unique way. So how can we allow each other, and how can we allow all of the range of experience with love, with compassion, with kindness, so that we can then allow our experience, even if we don't, like think on the oneness or everybody else, our experience is going to be richer if we are actually smiling to someone else, just because by doing that, we also get something.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to put up a photo of Buddha. And actually, you know what? I'll throw myself under the bus. I was super nervous about meeting Buddha for a couple of years. I'm not Buddhist, don't do the Buddhist traditions and stuff like that I know of. Certainly enjoy it though, especially Joshu Zen stuff, kind of an offshoot. But I'm walking through an American department store and one of those cardboard signs over the book section hanging from the ceiling starts talking to me. And this was Buddha, the right colors, if you ask me, and I'll show a more formal looking thing. I didn't run out of the store screaming, but it was my introduction. And then here's the photo that I settled on. People at home can catch that. If you want a Buddhist temple in India, Thailand, Vietnam, and you want to feel the lush jungle, and as if it was just 10 meters behind you, catch that incense, hear the musical, what are they, chimes? Those instruments that move in the wind and make music, very sacred. But if you can catch the smell, the feeling, the sounds, and what are you getting from Buddha as a reminder for us all?
What I'm reminded is one of the teachings that I got just from learning in Tibetan about Buddha. Buddha in Tibetan is Sangye. Sangye is all about the path is there, going in, purifying, healing, connecting to our wholeness, connecting to all that we are, in order to then expand our awareness and expand and have that understanding that there's no separation. We are able to actually change, we're able to expand, we're able to be with what is connected to the all that there is.
Beautiful. Okay, I'll do one more figure. Give me a second to find it, but how about a figure from India? He's love on an Indian breeze. He's very gentle. Sri Kaleshwar in the Sri Shirdi Sai Baba lineage, and I will put up his photo as well. I had pulled it out, but very gentle. He knew he was going to pass early, and so he passed when he was about 42 or so, and this is around 2012. But you should be able to catch an Indian breeze in the air, very gentle. And he always said, "Why not?" to help propel you into your heart. Why not? And what are you hearing from Sri Kaleshwar?
Gentleness, gentleness, gentleness. Beautiful. That is so important. Being gentle with ourselves, being gentle with others, being gentle with experience. When we bring that lens into our perspective, into our life, then everything can flow so much with so much ease, when we are gentle. Gentle doesn't mean weak. Gentle just means the perspective of how we are experiencing it and bringing that so beautiful.
Yeah, by not having as many fixed points, you allow your flow, as you would say, and it's back to the Aikido thing. You keep part of the motion moving and allow a little more perspective and awareness. Interesting. Okay, here's Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, colorized version, the one who passed away in 1918, somewhere in there. He's Mr. Miracles, compassion, 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 and tied to 3 religions, which I'll do my best on: Buddhism, Hinduism, and Islam. And people can let him wink, smile, shoulder waggle, ear moves in the photo. Why not? And catch a sacred Indian temple incense smell. You can't get that incense anywhere off of any store shelf today. Are you getting the incense in New Zealand, Brian?
Yes.
Yay. And what else are you getting from Sai Baba? This will be our last photo.
I'm getting that there is strength in who you are, that we're all perfect, we're all whole, we're all worthy. And as we do that, we just need to do ourselves. You just need to be you. There's nothing else that you need to do. Whatever perspective, whatever way, whatever tradition you resonate with, do that. And if others don't, that's them.
And if you don't mind getting a compliment from him in a private mantra, and if you'll say it 1 or 2 times with him, Buddha, a few angels, Chogyam Trungpa, and your favorite passed over, Rinpoches, but get a nice group, high vibe. And breathe, breathe, breathe at home. If anybody wants to do it privately at their end, just hear a few words. And you can get a little bit of a vision on your eyelids as if they're 1950s drive-in movie theaters for cars.
Mm, beautiful. Mm. Energy is everything.
Oh my God. That's like soccer is life. Ted Lasso and stuff like that. Okay, we're about to wrap up. You're going to wrap this up like a show host, like you've had to do with all your international speaking and touring and everything else. But first, with your permission, and just hear from Joy, Charlotte, and anybody else that you got this, with your permission and only our highest intent, we're going to connect with our hands, whole oceans away or half the world away. We'll go like this, only our highest vibe, not our bill paying side. Let me know what you feel when you got that, but I'll whoosh you rainbow light 3 times, small, medium, and large. But, if you're at home and you're comfortable, whatever amount of breathing you want to do and letting go, you got this. You'll feel what you feel. Don't judge. Brian, are you feeling my vibe from where am I? Texas.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. Now, it's all angels. We're not going to blame Canada, but we can blame angels. So let's have angels do a great job here. Plus, throw in some Buddhist figures and Buddha. They're all on board. It's one big loving team. Okay, here we go. And I'll blow through a microphone down here. If you see me blowing down below, don't freak out. It's just me blowing maybe a Hawaiian breeze to you as well. Get a little sea spritz on your nose. Again, blame angels. Here we go. People can feel it up their back, the Kundalini Express, the chakras. Catch a wind in your hair like a peppermint patty commercial from the 80s. All right, Brian, did you get that one A-okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay to go a little medium up the scale. Here we go.
Of course.
Okay. And how was that one?
Mm,
Different?
nice. Yes.
But can you use words on that one? Was it just a little cooler breeze or what was it?
It was a slightly different frequency. Was kind of like more gentle embrace.
Now, I'm very vapid, vacuous, not trying to put myself down in the slightest. I love myself, but I'm going to be the first to say I have absolutely no idea what's happening, except your words are very helpful. So now it's the go big, go home. I think you're home, so you have no choice but to go big. So at home, breathe big, people. If you want to do this real fast, the chubby checker or the Elvis, just to make yourself laugh, you just let go 100%. There's no more letting go than 100%. Well, 120%. Why not? Here we go. One last time, I'll blow twice. Feel and smell Hawaii if that's big for you, or some other exotic spot that makes your heart soar. And let's ask for a little wind horse and ZG to come in. Just throw some Tibetan terms, the only two that I can remember. Here we go. Allow for what you can allow for, feel what you can feel. Do not judge. And Brian in Auckland, New Zealand, how were them apples?
Beautiful. I could feel the energy just expanding and moving. Beautiful.
Okay, now talk to us about how you live and breathe this all day long. Technically, are you working on people the second the group starts to come into the room to set the table, so to speak? Not that we want to give away everything you do, but have you been known to set the table in advance of the students?
Of course.
Oh, tell us more. We want to know. And then you're going to go big picture and wrap it up for us. What are the reminders? Because we're going to have you back on for the APL Spotlight series, which will air immediately. So people are actually going to see that before they see this. And then if you want to come back in 2025, you will on the APL show. It'll be all up to you. But okay, how are you preparing? How do you know to prepare? Where did you learn this? What's this all about?
I don't know if I actually learned it or if it like from someone else. I think it was just through my experience. I started to realize that once something is about to take place, once people are coming, they are already coming. Once someone decides that they are going to come to a class, or once someone decides that they are going to come and see me, like for a one-on-one session, the moment that they decided to come, that energy is already flowing. So it's easier for me to tap into that energy and start to bring that intention of what they need even before they arrive.
That's incredible. Okay, so let's put this all together. Plato once said, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a harder battle than you." The only way that that statement is valid for an individual person is if they are here at peace long enough to realize that it's a true statement. Otherwise, if we're in the brain, it's my problem is, my drama is, my situation is, you don't understand. 5 divorces in 5 weeks. I'm awfully unlucky. Okay, but talk to us about this big picture called life. We're all doing the best we can. What's this all about again?
It's about experiencing, and it's about being present. When we're able to bring awareness into the present moment, when we're able to also understand we are bringing things into this moment. We're all bringing this, like big backpack full of, like whatever it is that weighs a lot. When we're able to realize, wait, do I need to keep on carrying all of this weight on my shoulders? Or can I do something with that so that then I'm free to bring not only that energy flow, bring the gift of everything that I've been carrying and actually connect to the gift that we are, to bring our energy, our medicine that is unique in this world. We're all unique, and when we're able to understand that, we stop judging, we're present, we start being more kind, and when we're able to do that, we're able to co-create the future that we want by co-creating the present moment. So we can all heal. It doesn't matter what happened to us. It doesn't matter, like how big or small that is. All of our experiences are valid. If someone, like I've had this many times, people that hadn't had, like horrendous things happening, they feel like their trauma or their challenges are not big enough. It matters to you. It matters to your system. So we can all heal. We're all already whole, yet we are not experiencing that. So when we connect to that part of ourselves, it is easier to go in that healing path, which is a pathway towards that wholeness that we already are. So we are not gaining anything. We are just releasing, letting go of those things that we've been carrying that are no longer necessary, so that we can expand and we can change how we're living. We can change our patterns, our behaviors, our tendencies, and create the life that we want by being at peace in the present moment. And in that way, we can meet each other. We can, say hi to a neighbor. We can say hi to a stranger. We can smile to them. We can bring that love and compassion. And we can also start to experience things that are not here in this realm, in this physical space, because now the veil is a little bit more removed and we can actually experience things.
Brilliant. Oh my goodness. Brian Berneman in Auckland, New Zealand. Thank you so much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. I have to say it was a delight, and you are a delightful individual. Thank you for being on this show. Thank you for doing what you do for all of us and staying the course. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for having me, for creating the space, for creating spaces to be able to, share about this, and whoever it is that needs to hear this or resonates with it, that's all that matters. Even if it's just one person that gets it, beautiful.
Yes. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Michael.